When you open that package from ECS, you'll notice that the plate is going to go down there. So before we pull out those two Allen keys, take the emery cloth they give you and just clean up that entire edged surface that's around there. The other thing we're going to have to do is take that 13 mil out that's going to this ground. So this ground, we're going to have to relocate it because it goes into one of the holes from which is going to seal our plate. I think it's awesome that they give you the cloth to actually go around and clean up the area and surface. So that way the gasket that they give you will seal the plate perfectly. So now I'm going to zoom in. It's that spot right under the block, right here. So again, go ahead and scrub this whole area all the way around the whole circle. In that area, while you're scrubbing, you can feel for the two Allen keys. There'll be one here and one up top. Both those Allen key bolts we're going to have to pull out, so that way we have access to both the galleys that go through that block. Super important. For that whole area, make sure it's nice and clean. See how clean mine is? What you'd want to do is if there's any dirt or foreign material in there, shoot brake or parts cleaner in there and wipe it down with a rag. Do not use paper towel. If you do, it can put particulates in there and that'll push all through your galleys, which is still not good at all. You want that area to be spotless and free of all particulates, because you'll feel how it's kind of like concaved on the inside. If there is any particulates in there, that's going to fill up with oil and it's going to take that and bring it into your motor. Make sure, again, it is super clean. I just hot tanked my block, not even like, I want to say 2,000 kilometers ago, because I had the motor out of this and I built it. So I'm still good, and I went through and made sure there's absolutely no buildup in there. If you have any buildup, take the time, clean it. It's not worth missing something. The Allen key to release the two Allen key bolts is an HW6. So go ahead, after you've made sure you've completely cleaned the full surface and everything, pull out the two Allen keys. You might want to put a bucket underneath it. You're probably going to get some oil that comes down. Depending if there is, I'll just tell you now, the gasket is right here with the 4 new bolts from ECS. So if you want, you can have the gasket ready to go and grab this part. You can even pre-thread the bolts and get it ready. So that way, as soon as you pop these out, you can hand thread those bolts in with that gasket. Just prepare it like so. The gasket only fits one way. Just make sure the plate is absolutely clean, and you know you're gonna again have a clean surface to mate up against. One last look at this beautiful piece. Again, this is going to be our drain, that's going to be our feed, and here we go. Go ahead, pull up the two HW6 Allen keys, and let's go ahead and bolt that plate up. If you've already drained your block, you'll be fine. As you can see, both screws are out. I have these ones prepped. I'm going to thread them all in, and then after we thread them in, basically you want to seat the whole gasket evenly, and then from there, I think I'm just going to torque this down to about 19 foot-pounds per bolt. Well, that's it mounted down there. Again, I ended up using a bit of blue Loctite, and I put all 4 13s down to 19 foot-pounds minimum. And now that they're at that, we can go ahead and relocate that ground. I might change my mind where this ground sits later, but I put it just beside the timing cover for right now because there's an open spot in between right there in the center of the shot. And just like that, now we can run a feed up to here and then branch out. One will go to this side of the turbo and one will go to that turbo. Again, the feeds will be up top, the drains will come out the bottom. The drains will be AN 10, the feeds will be AN 4. Important. If you're running a ball bearing turbo, you need to run a restrictor. If you're running a journal bearing turbo, which is what this is, then you will not run a restrictor. One is 7/16 to -4, and this one is an 1/8 NPT to -4. This is important because you need to know what side your feed is, so that way you can buy the appropriate fitting. The other thing you need to know is are you using ball bearing? If you are, make sure you buy a feed that has a restrictor. You know it has a restrictor because if you look down there, it should be like a pinhole because ball bearing needs less oil. If you leave it wide open like this, you're going to flood that turbo with oil and you're probably going to start seeing a lot of smoke, which isn't good at all. From there, now that we've gone ahead and gone over restrictors, you also have your feed. Your drain. This goes on the bottom. It has to be much bigger because, again, as I just said, you can't allow oil to back up in the turbos. Otherwise, you're going to get a lot of smoke. So you want the biggest sized opening possible, which is, in our case, a -10. From there, this just screws into the bottom of the turbo. I will show you that in 1 second. There is a gasket it comes with. Make sure you put the gasket on, so that way it doesn't leak on you. If you don't have the gasket, some people will just use a very, very high temperature silicone, but at the same time, I always like to use the paper gasket that these come with. That's just my own personal preference, but again, you can do either or. What you can do is just simply put that over top of the gasket like so, put the 2 screws, line it up, make sure your surface is completely clean, so that way it's going to seal, and go ahead and thread those down and then sink them down. If you really need a torque spec, you could try to go to 19 foot-pounds, but again, most of you are just gonna go with your hand and tighten it up. Just don't go ham, just get it nice and tight. Top one is no torque spec, just go until it is fully seated and then half to quarter turn more. You don't want to go ham with it because again, if it's an NPT fitting, what'll end up happening is you'll crack the fitting. I believe I already went over this in part 1 or part 2, but I'm going to say it again. Before you roughly just put in like 2 bolts per turbo, go ahead and loosen off all the 13s before you mount it, and loosen all of the 13s on the exhaust side. That way you can rotate the inside so the feed is aiming directly up. It cannot be on any sort of angle. It has to be aiming straight up. If you don't have it aiming straight up, what'll end up happening is the turbo won't drain properly. It'll pool oil and you'll get lots and lots of smoke. Not a good thing. For the feed lines, I'm pretty sure these came from UPP, as they do seem pretty well made. And also I just checked the routing and it seems pretty legit. So what it is one fitting goes here. I'm going to pull it out to show you, by the way. And it goes down along through here, just under your radiator pipe here, but down lower, so that way there's no chance of it getting caught in the fan. It gets teed off right there, comes up to here. After you tighten it, see how it's away from the exhaust on this side and away from the exhaust side on this side. Again, I have to turn this, but anyways. Yeah, this looks like the safest way to do it. And then from the T, we're gonna go to our feed. Again, I will give you the lengths when I properly install this and show you exactly how I end up running it. But I think this will actually work. I actually really like this. Looks clean, hides it, and yeah. Let me pull this out and I will show you the lengths so you can make your own and show you the fittings. So you can better understand this, again, it feeds down here and down into this area right here. Again, that one feeds down along the lower radiator pipe and then down and over there. And again, it's just below it actually, so it avoids the radiator fan. And then what I did is I have my oil cooler lines coming into here. I just simply fed it along with my oil cooler lines because they go right past that feed plate. So just follow, if you're doing an oil cooler, which you should if you have the factory one, just run it along with those lines and then we'll just duck it out right here to the T. Just like we made the AC line, twist the tip on so that way it eats into the bedding right here and it kind of beds itself until it's completely flush with the threads. After that, just take the tip of your fitting like so, lubricate it with motor oil or blue Loctite, and then go ahead and just screw it in with your hand wrenches. All right, so for the line lengths, this one is 43 inches long, has a 124 and fitting to a straight, which goes to our T. The 90 degree to 90 degree, this line right here is 21 inches long, And again, just 290-degree fittings. And then our last one is a straight to 120 again. And this is a 13-inch long hose right there. Once you go ahead and put it, just make sure that your T looks like this. The straight, and 190. And let's go ahead and plumb that into the car. So again, this one is going to go from here down to there. And I will zap strap that and take care of it afterwards. You can also bring it up through here. So that way it's held up or held by this harness away from the shock for the hood. There is enough slack. Again, I'm just showing you the rough routing. It goes under this hose and then goes right just under the hose is where I have the T, right where it comes into the radiator. And then this one comes down from here just to where that radiator inlet is. Super easy run. And then the next one, like I said, follows these lines pretty much actually the same way we put our coil lines too, or our coil wires that we extended. Just follow it through there, and then you can see my fitting down there. So right by the spark plug, see right there, right under the spark plug boot, that's where it goes. And you can see our drain is still open. And that's so that way we can do our drains next. The drains are going to be more fun. Why? Because with feed lines, it doesn't matter. The oil pump is going to be pushing oil through it, and it's going to make sure no matter what, oil is pumped through. When it comes to the drain, if the drains don't go at the right angle, the turbos will back up with oil and smoke. We must make sure that the turbo drains are always on a downward slope. Either sloped or straight down. That way the oil is always going down. If it bows, the oil will puddle. If it can't go uphill at all. It has to aim down. All right, something for the fittings. Just because I had a couple dings on these fittings because, well, I didn't assemble them, nor did I take them apart when this kit came apart. So what I will suggest that you do is if you pick up some Vivid Black Harley paint, it'll actually blend every single mar on those fittings. These ones had quite a few, and as you can see, they're looking pretty pristine now. So if you pick this up, it usually comes with a clear coat kit. You can even clear coat it afterwards, so there's less chance of it chipping off. Our feeds turned out pretty awesome. Now our drains, they have to be on a steep slope. As you can see, I've already made them because I'm gonna show you, of course, my lengths and everything, but see how this one is half kind of bent in a weird angle? You need to make sure these stay in a downward motion, meaning when I connect that up, it needs to make sure it's always flowing downhill. If it ever goes up like this, it'll pool, you'll get oil back up in the turbo. If you're worried, you can get an oil scavenge pump and wire it in. I'll leave that up to you. This is one option you do have. From here, I'll pull this out, I'll measure the lines and tell you exactly what my measurements were for these AN10 lines, so you can go ahead and make your own if you're using that ECS block. So as you can see, your first line, you want to make it about 10 inches long, cut it at 10, even add 10 and a half if you want, just so that way you have all the bends out. The other one right here is a, let's say 11 and a half inch line right there. And then this small guy here is about a 7-inch line. This one goes to the turbo. So you need 3 straights, you need 2 90s, actually 3 90s. It's 3 90s all the way around. So yeah, 3 straights, 3 90s, and 1 T fitting. And again, all AN10. If you're wondering about making it, jump onto part 2 and look at how I made the AC line. I literally show you how to make these lines from scratch. Leave your oil return fitting loose. You need to until you tighten this down with certain turbos like this one, because it'll actually bottom out. If you tighten these screws down and they slip closer to the body, you barely have any room. So leave the fitting loose, adjust to where it needs to. You can crank it down and then you can seat these bolts as long as you can access them afterwards. I'll show you the angle I go off these turbos so that way you can do it. Now, don't worry if what ends up happening is when you do your final adjustments on your turbo, again, we're not gonna tie these completely down and in yet. When we go to do the final adjustments, when we put in our intercooler to line up the piping, we can pop one of these bolts out for a second if we need to move it from here to here. But obviously don't leave the bolt out. You need these bolts to help seal the housing. Well, there we have it. The drains are in, and as you can see, they are all downhill, meaning they will drain perfectly. Again, do not have anything going uphill and you'll be safe.